there. Today we're here at Bliss Bridal, and what we're going to do is show you the best way and the most efficient way to lace up a corset dress. And I think we call this Corset 101.
Corset 101.
Here? Yeah, because one of the big problems that I see is that when you come in and you buy your dress, you know exactly how to do this, but then maybe it sits in your closet for about 3 months, and by the time it comes around to your wedding, you forget. So when we get into the bridal suite on wedding day, there's mom and a whole bunch of bridesmaids behind you, and nobody can remember how to lace up the dress. So today we're gonna have Shakia and Katie from Bliss Bridal, and they're going to show you how to lace up the corset dress. And we have our beautiful model here, Rachel, who has volunteered to help us. So I'm just going to step out. I'm going to let Katie step in, and here it goes.
Perfect. All right, Shakia, are you ready?
Alrighty, yes.
Okay, so she's going to run through the loops. We always start at the top and then work your way down, and that way when you have extra string and extra ribbon left, it can go in the bottom of the dress. So you always start at the top between the two loops, and then the best thing to do is to hold these out and make sure, which of course I think is going to go off camera, but make sure that you end up with these at the very, very end even, and that's how you'll end up even at the bottom when the time comes. And sometimes you even have a mark in the ribbon where the designer has marked with a seam, so you know for sure where it's supposed to land. And you just go back and forth. And you always loop either under each loop or over each loop to make sure that you end up with the same design both ways.
So does it matter if it's under or over, just as long as it's the same?
Right, it's a style preference as far as whether you want it to look, it's very minimal of a change, but you want to make sure you're not doing one and then the other, one and then the other, so it doesn't look kind of mismatched when it's finished. It's also a great idea to not lace up your gown before you get in it. You want to leave it open like we had it, step into it, and then start to lace it up. And then you'll see Shakia's just kind of back and forthing and then straightening out the ribbons as she goes, because some of them will twist and turn, and that way you get it even and straight. And then if you notice there's a panel here, this panel will usually have buttons kind of at the top here to close the dress. And sometimes they'll even run down the dress, and that gives you kind of a guiding light for how wide your opening should be. So it's not really meant to close too tight, it's not meant to be too large of an opening, and this is kind of a good blueprint to follow, that panel that kind of covers the back.
Now, Katie, how long does this typically take?
You know, if we were doing it, maybe, you know, without explaining, probably 2 minutes, maybe. But we do it every day. The average person might want to plan for 10 minutes to be safe, maybe 15, just in case it takes a little bit longer. And you always have to be prepared to restart in the event you run out of ribbon, if you got one end too long. And as you're going, if you get to the bottom and you're getting shorter like this, that's just because you've got all of this loose. So Shakia and I will start back and start to tighten and let it kind of shape the curve of the body.
Now let's talk about how tight should you make it, because we've occasionally seen brides where they make it a little too tight.
Yes.
And then it kind of has a little extra.
Yeah, if you, now of course if you're looking for yourself and you have skin hanging over, that's just the turn, the curve, when you're looking like in the mirror. But if you're standing here and you do have that hanging over, then it's gotten a little too snug. So you can go back and loosen so that you end up with a nice line like she has right now. Okay. But again, using this panel, like I said, there'll be a button, and a lot of the times the designer will have it run down the dress, and as long as you're not pulling past it where it's kind of overlapping where the buttoning was, then you're following the fit of the gown the way it should be.
Okay.
And then when you get to the end, some brides want a bow, some brides want that to kind of disappear. If you have kind of a long ribbon, you might do a good idea to have this shortened beforehand if you want. But if you don't and you've got a lot, just tie it inside, loop it around, make a bow on the inside of your skirt, you won't even feel it.
Okay, So you make it a bow. So you can leave the bow.
You can leave the bow if you want that effect, or you can take this ribbon and you tuck it into the little bit of material that's left right here. There's about an inch slit that you can actually push it all in. And you might do good to have a friend kind of reach in that first layer and pull it down as well.